So I could pin, or I could label the cortex because there's no other thing that you need to know that's way out here. All right, but for the medulla, all of these parts are inside of the medulla, so I probably won't put that on your exam unless it's a short answer question. So there are smaller kidney models that are in the back also that might be on your exam. So make sure that you look at these also. I don't think they're up here yet, but they should be on the shelf back there. And then this image that we just went over is going to be part of this larger model up here. So make sure you take a look at both of those. This is also on that big model that's up front here. So this is sort of zooming out and looking at your abdominal region as a whole. All right, so these are the two kidneys here. And then number 3 coming down from the kidneys, these are going to be the two ureters. You can see that these are what deliver urine all the way down to the bladder right here. All right, and then when urine exits your bladder, that goes through the urethra. So don't mix up the terms urethra and ureter. All right, that's pretty common. Sometimes people will mix it up. Make sure that you can keep those two straight. And then we're going to go through this really quickly, even though we just did this for the sort of cartoon we saw earlier, but this is on the model up front, so make sure you study this for your exam. And so the reason we showed you the cartoon earlier was because it was a little bit more clear than this, all right? So if we go back, remember this is the sort of the setup of the nephron we saw. So you can see a nice flow starting here, going through the PCT, the loop of Henle, the DCT, and then the collecting tubules or ducts. But then this is what your model looks like. All right, so you can always find the glomerulus. All right, so that should be a pretty easy structure to find. It's going to be this ball. And then you can see this sort of curve around it is going to be the Bowman's capsule. And then the most difficult part of this model, which is why it's, if you look at it up close, you can see that there's a little bit of a color difference for the different parts. All right, so the proximal convoluted tubule actually comes off of here, and it runs back here. So this is all PCT, and it goes down the descending loop, up the ascending loop, and then this sort of like tan or peach color is going to be the distal convoluted tubule. So if you follow that, it goes all the way across here to the collection tubules or the collection ducts. So the main difference is on this model, for some reason, they crossed the two loops. All right, so this is a typical nephron. All right, usually you can find them crossed and not crossed. But if you're looking at this in comparison, we've sort of pulled everything out so that nothing is sort of crossing over each other. So on the model, you'll see that the proximal convoluted tubule stretches across here, goes down, and then the the distal convoluted tubule will come off of this side. So just make sure that you can follow the tubules and keep things straight. So the proximal convoluted tubule is not always going to be the closest to the glomerulus, is the take home from that.
So
Right?
that's the next label down.
Yeah, so we could put pieces of tape on this. You have to label the different parts. So make sure you know which one of these is the descending and ascending. These are the peritubular capillaries that are formed from that efferent arteriole. The glomerulus should be pretty straightforward in all of these, as well as the capsule that surrounds it. And then the hardest for these are just going to be the PCT and the DCT. So for the model, make sure you really follow the glomerulus for the order to go. So you can see that the PCT is this sort of like off green color. And if you follow it, it goes back here, and then it goes down the descending. So that's what I mean when it crosses with respect to our model, or the cartoon I showed you earlier. All right, so just make sure that you are able to find where the PCT is, because that's how you differentiate the descending from the ascending. Any more questions on this nephron model? Again, this is something you'll want to come up and look at yourself. Take pictures, whatever you want to do for that. But this PowerPoint, again, is available on Moodle, so you do have access to this image right here.